Hey, how y'all doing? This is A2 Suave here. Right now, we got every franchise and every active NBA player that we believe should get their jersey retired for that team. Now, there are some teams that are, I wouldn't say bad franchises, but they don't have active NBA players that, will get their jersey retired by them. So we have some players that are either recently retired or just went overseas. So first, we got the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, I got Joel Embiid. He is still playing. Drafted, I think it was 2014. He's an MVP, the only MVP other than the last MVP until Allen Iverson in 2001. So it's like a 20-year difference. But yeah, he's the only other player I see. Ben Simmons was only a 3-time All-Star. Really didn't stay there that long. And he doesn't have the greatest fan base behind him right now. So yeah, I have Joel Embiid for the Sixers. For the Milwaukee Bucks, I have 3 players. Obviously, 2-time MVP Giannis, 2-time All-Star Chris Middleton, and Jrue Holiday. Now, everyone believes that Chris Middleton and Giannis, obviously, they stood there basically their whole careers, got the chip, both All-Stars. Now, Jrue Holiday was an All-Star with the Milwaukee Bucks, but he wasn't there for too long. But without him, they don't get that 2021 NBA championship. So for that, I got those 3 guys for the Milwaukee Bucks. For the Chicago Bulls, really only Derrick Rose. Zach LaVine hasn't done anything for the Bulls, and that's my team. But no one could wear number 1 because the Derrick Rose fan base is superstardom. So yeah, I only have Derrick Rose for the Chicago Bulls as of right now. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I have 3 players. I have obviously LeBron, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love. I know for sure that LeBron and Kyrie Irving, they're guaranteed locks. But Kevin Love is a little slight. Didn't have that much All-Star appearances with the Cavs, I believe. Like, his prime was obviously with Minnesota. But he was part of that big 3. And without him, they don't have that 2016 championship. I guess the 73-9 Warriors. So for that, those 3 right there. For the Boston Celtics, it's pretty tough to get your jersey retired in the Celtics now. Obviously it was I think it's still 17 banners right now, looking for number 18th this year. But I have Jason Tatum, all NBA first team a couple of times, All-Star a couple of times. Took Boston to the NBA Finals in 22, lost to the Warriors though. Multiple Eastern Conference Finals. I believe he's gonna win this chip this year. So yeah, him. And I also have an exception. I put Rajon Rondo. Obviously, he just retired this year, but I'm gonna still count it. He just retired this year. I'm gonna count him. Rondo should obviously get his jersey retired by Boston. It probably will be. That 2008 chip was just special, man. Next, we got the Clippers. I have Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. Now, CP3 is a lock. He's the one that started Lob City, even made them a relevant franchise. And they're killing it right now because of Chris Paul. I put DeAndre Jordan. He was a All-NBA first team with the Clippers. That was his whole prime. Stood there most of his career, obviously Lob City. So I have him there as well. And I have Blake Griffin. He just retired after 14 years. But man, prime Blake Griffin. It speaks for itself. He was an All-Star in his rookie year. Without him, the Clippers, that's their franchise player. For the Grizzlies, I only have Mike Conley, the grit and grind. So I could say him, Marc Gasol, Zach Randolph, Tony Allen. Most of the guys already got their jersey retired, but Mike Conley's the last one. He's the last remaining one for them. The Hawks. Now the Hawks didn't really have that much good players. I remember 2015, they had that 60-win team. It was Kyle Korver, Al Horford, Paul Millsap, and Jeff Teague. Now, the guys that can make a case for that really is only Al Horford. And besides Trae Young is a 3-time All-Star. He's gotten the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals, but other than that, hasn't really done much, I believe, to get his jersey retired. But Al Horford was there for a minute and did a lot for that organization. I got Al Horford. The Miami Heat, obviously LeBron James, and I have Jimmy Buckets. I think those two are pretty obvious. For Jimmy, got the Heat to multiple conference finals, took them to the NBA championship in 2020 and last year. Yeah, those two deserve it. For the Hornets, there's really no one active I could say for the Hornets, but I know Kemba Walker recently went overseas, so I have Kemba Walker's jersey retiring. His jersey retired for the Hornets. I mean, he's the all-time leader in points. That's all you could say. The Utah Jazz. For active right now, Gordon Hayward was an all-star on that team. He was big on that team, but really didn't do much for Utah. Donovan Mitchell. It was just failed playoff appearances for him. You know, really didn't do much. I think his prime. I believe his prime is right now with Cleveland. It wasn't really in Utah, but I'm gonna have to give it to Rudy Gobert. I have Rudy Gobert getting his jersey retired at Utah. I believe he was a 2-time defensive player of the year on that team. I believe was their next big thing. That's what I have for Utah, Rudy Gobert. For the Sacramento Kings, it's a tough one. They only really had one guy in the 2010s, and that was DeMarcus Cousins, who I have down here as well. Obviously, he's playing overseas, but I have him. The only other guy I put down here, I also have De'Aaron Fox. If he could stay with the Sacramento for the rest of his career, then yeah, I got him. Obviously, he just lost in the play-in. Really hasn't done much playoff-wise, but either did DeMarcus, but, you know, Cousins was more dominant than he was, so I have them too for the Kings. For the Knicks, I have nobody. I put Carmelo Anthony. Obviously, Carmelo is officially done now, but I feel like it was really recent, so I have Melo down. The only other guy I could think of is Julius Randle, but even that is nowhere near. Next we have the Los Angeles Lakers. I have just LeBron and AD. Really no one else for the Lakers, but I believe, you know, that 2020 championship sold it right there. LeBron and AD, and they're still cooking now. Still, I think both of them are going to be all NBA. Orlando Magic. Anybody on the team right now is really, really young. I think they have a lot of guys under 25. Obviously, Banchero. I believe he will be the next one, but I don't have him down yet. You just got to wait and see. Before him, it was Vucevic and Aaron Gordon. Nowhere near getting their jersey retired for Orlando, so I just put Dwight Howard. He didn't retire from basketball yet, but he's playing overseas. It was recently, so I have Dwight Howard. The Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic. Pretty self-explanatory for that one. The Brooklyn Nets. Now, this was a very tough one. Because how does Brooklyn have LaMarcus Aldridge? I believe they had Blake Griffin. They had Andre Drummond, KD, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. All in like a 2-year span. The only case for any of those guys was KD. But he wasn't there for that long and still made the playoffs for them and had a MVP caliber season. But other than that, no. But who I have down here is Brook Lopez. I believe he was in Brooklyn for a decade, I think. He's the franchise leader in points. I think that seals it for him to get his jersey retired in Brooklyn. He should. Denver Nuggets. I have the 2-time MVP, the Joker, obviously. But I also have Jamal Murray. Now, the Joker was drafted in 2014, Murray in 2015, and they both stood here their entire career. I think the Joker's hitting a decade now, and Murray will hit that next year. But to get drafted from that team and still put in the work all the way to getting a chip, I feel like Jamal Murray deserves that. I say he's a top 15 player to never have an all-star appearance, because he's always been in the loaded, stacked West with all those guards. The Indiana Pacers. Honorable mention to Victor Oladipo. He had his prime there. It was a short prime. But who I have down is Paul George, PG-13. I remember growing up seeing those Eastern Conference Finals between him and the big three of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. I mean, I knew he was done, but he put up a fight, man. He did a lot for Indiana. It was him, Monte Ellis, Jeff Teague, Roy Hibbert. But yeah, Paul George. For the Pelicans, CP3. They were known as the New Orleans Hornets, though, but I believe that carries out as New Orleans Pelicans. He doesn't go as the Charlotte Hornets. It's different. So yeah, definitely CP3. That was his prime. He should have won MVP in 08, but he got second next to Kobe. Obviously, that's fair, but he had his prime there. The Detroit Pistons. Only guy really I could put is Andre Drummond. I mean, Blake Griffin had a crazy year in 2018, 2019, but that was 1 year. Andre Drummond was a dominant rebounder for the whole 2010s decade. You know, he's the guy that stuck with Detroit. He was their guy. He was their main guy. Even snagged a couple All-Star appearances. For the Toronto Raptors, I have 3 players. Honorable mention to Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. But I have Kyle Lowry, obviously. Kyle hit his prime late, but he hit his prime with the Raptors. Those were the days, even leading up to a chip. Believe he has a lot of Raptors records and franchises as well. Second, I have DeMar DeRozan. Without DeMar and Lowry, you don't have the Raptors. Like, they were always the best regular season team every year. Thing is, that never translated it to the playoffs, you know, the postseason, because either lost in the semifinals or they just got swept by LeBron. Always running into LeBron, but those two most definitely. And then Kawhi. Now, Kawhi only stood there for 1 year, but the 1 year he stood there, he got them a chip. You got to put him down. So, those 3 right there. The Houston Rockets. James Harden. MVP there. That's all I really have to say, man. The San Antonio Spurs. Only Kawhi Leonard. I mean, won them a chip in 2014. Was Finals MVP. Led them to a 66-win season. You know, was Defensive Player of the Year. He had his prime there as well. So, Kawhi. The Suns. I have Devin Booker. Drafted 2015. Still here. He has so many accolades. Even hitting 70 points. All-NBA. All-Star appearances. Took him to the NBA Finals. He's their franchise player, Devin Booker. And then I have CP3. Now, I know he didn't stay there for that long, but he stood there enough, I believe, to get his jersey retired. Like, without CP3, Devin Booker and the Suns don't go to the NBA Finals, you know, and he got them a lot of playoff success. So, yeah, CP3. Next, we got OKC. I have 2 players. I have KD and Westbrook. One more I got to say. They both had their MVP season for that team, even made it to the NBA Finals. That's all I got to say. The Timberwolves, really, I can only say Karl-Anthony Towns. I mean, they're having a spectacular season this year. But, yeah, Towns was drafted by them, Rookie of the Year, still there. Snagged a couple All-Star appearances. Not much postseason success. I mean, Jimmy said he was soft, so maybe that's why. But, yeah, really him. Andrew Wiggins would have been another option, but I went with Towns. The Portland Trailblazers. Dame Dollar. The Golden State Warriors. They have like 5 of them, I swear. So, obviously, you got the big core of Steph Curry, 2-time MVP, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. You can make an argument for Harrison Barnes, but I really doubt it. Andre Iguodala retired last year. I would have put him on here if he was still playing, obviously. And KD. So I believe they're going to have like 4 to 5. They're going to have a lot of jersey retirements. They might as well just have it into one. But yeah, that's their dynasty right there. 4 chips. And then, not but not least, we have the Washington Wizards with Bradley Beal. What can I say? He was drafted, I believe, either 2012 or 2013. Stood there all the way till last year. He was there for 11, 12 seasons with Washington. After John Wall left, he was their guy. But there you have it. And that is the video. We have all the active players. Obviously, you heard a few exceptions there, but I hope you like this vid, and I'll see y'all to the next one.